Multiple severe weather events are going to be able to take place over the next 4 days, but also into next week and the following weeks. In today's video, we will break down what your area may expect in terms of severe weather, and diving right into things on the day one outlook, you can tell that a pretty large slight risk has been issued by the Storm Prediction Center, and you could probably tell outlining it outside of this outline, we do have a pretty large marginal threat. But that's not our only risk of severe weather, as we do have one back here in Louisiana, along with Florida. Now, the main threats to our slight risk are going to be damaging winds, large hail, and a few tornadoes, but probably not the greatest tornado risk is probably not where you'd expect it, and you'd probably be thinking that's going to be in Oklahoma, Kansas, or Texas. Well, no, you would be wrong partially. The greatest tornado risk is actually in portions of Colorado and Nebraska. The greatest risk, I should say. You can tell we do have a 5%, a very small 5% risk, and a pretty broad but elongated 2% risk of tornadoes. I honestly would not be surprised in the next outlook to see a bit further southern expansion of this 5% risk. And I do think that there is enough wind shear that we could maybe see a isolated strong tornado in northeastern Colorado or parts of southern and southwestern Nebraska. You can tell very large hail, but here starting off severe wind, you can tell some damaging winds in excess of 74 miles an hour are going to be possible in Oklahoma today. And we are actually watching storms fire right now in Oklahoma that may bring that risk of severe weather. And then you can tell we do have two different areas, which I'm very surprised we don't just have a connector right here. But the Storm Prediction Center has decided to put two different areas of some 15% hatched hail risks. And we could see some hailstones up to the size of baseballs today across portions of Texas, Colorado, Nebraska, and Kansas. Moving on to tomorrow's outlook, we have yet again a very large slight risk of severe weather and a yet again very large risk for severe weather outlined by a marginal risk. And tomorrow's a day that I would not be surprised if we did get a pretty slim but elongated enhanced risk of severe weather put in play by the Storm Prediction Center across portions of Oklahoma. And we actually do have two areas of concern for the tornado risk tomorrow. One back here in Colorado. Then across our slight risk, we do have a 2% tornado risk, with back in Oklahoma and Texas being a 5% tornado risk. And this would be yet again a day that I think a strong tornado may be possible in portions of Oklahoma and Texas. See the severe wind, we could see some wind gusts up to 70 miles an hour tomorrow, and some hailstones up to baseball sized again. Moving on to the severe weather outlook for Sunday, this is the day 3 outlook. You can tell that we yet again have a very large slight risk of severe weather, and that is looking to be the common story over the next couple of weeks. And this is yet again another day I would not be surprised to see an enhanced risk across a pretty slim but elongated region. And this is another day that damaging winds, large hail, and a few tornadoes are going to be possible, and maybe even a strong tornado. And then even moving on to Monday, we do have a 15% risk outlined by the Storm Prediction Center in central and northern Texas. This does include the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So we're going to be watching this very closely for you. I will be gone this weekend, so this will be the video upload for all of this weekend. Now, we may be able to push out a short or two this weekend about the severe weather, but it is not a guarantee. Moving on to the models, this is going to be a look at for today. And you can tell we're going to be watching for storms to fire. Now, the HRRR has not been very accurate lately, but I'm still going to show it. It has the storms out here in Oklahoma now dying out, but I can tell you that is not happening just by looking at radar on my phone. And they are actually getting stronger by the minute. So we're going to keep a very close eye on that for you. You can tell we are going to watch a few supercells go up here in portions of Colorado and Nebraska. And these are going to be the ones that have the chance to produce that tornado risk. And then you can tell that one supercell that has track across northeastern Colorado, this one I'm pointing out that looks a lot more aggressive. That's the one that we are watching for that tornado risk as well. But as you can tell, really not much in the way of storms firing in Oklahoma until very late tonight into early tomorrow morning. And I will say, if this happens right here, I do not think we're going to be talking much of anything in excess of quarters to maybe $0.50 in hail, and anything in excess of 65 miles an hour for damaging winds. Now, if I go ahead and back this up to 12Z to take a look here a bit later, we can tell that those storms will roll through, and we'll see more storms fire tomorrow. And tomorrow's a day that we really can't mess around with. And you can tell we have a very elongated area of clustered supercells. And if we get some of these back here in portions of central Oklahoma, it is going to be bad, as that is where our highest sheared environment is right now. And it looks like the development of supercells should stay off to the north. So we do have a conditional 5% risk of tornadoes. You can tell that there were a few storms that fired off but never were able to really get going. But we will definitely have to keep an eye on that for you. Moving on to the NAM NST model, we can tell it's kind of painting that same picture. Few supercells go up, but it's really not as aggressive as the HRRR. And then along with tomorrow, it's really not showing anything. So we're going to have to keep a close eye on it. But I would not be surprised if tomorrow we didn't really see anything, as I do think these are very, very conditional risks of severe weather. Moving on to the GFS for this upcoming week here in the Central Plains, we can go ahead and see that moving on to Monday, this is whenever we have our day 4 outlook. You can tell it's a pretty conditional risk, and I would not be surprised if we saw a extremely large slight risk of severe weather, because it does look like the greatest threat of storms is going to be up in Oklahoma and Kansas, but it's a very conditional threat down here in Texas for those severe storms. But if they get going, they do definitely have the chance to be severe. Now, walking you a bit forward, you can tell these severe weather events do look to just keep coming, but it does not seem as if we're going to have any outbreaks in the near term. And we may not see any outbreaks, and we may have just regional severe weather events, and not widespread severe weather outbreaks, but a regional severe weather outbreak. So we'll definitely keep an eye on it for you. Moving on to the European model here, we can tell it's kind of showing that same picture. Here we go into Sunday, and now we move into Monday. You can tell that the Euro is on track for those storms back there in Texas. But yet again, it did have those storms up here in Oklahoma too originally. Now, these would be morning time storms, so damaging winds up to 60 miles an hour and quarter-sized hail. Maybe a bit larger on the hail, maybe a bit gustier on the wind side. But nothing too crazy, I do not think, is going to occur out of any storms. And you can tell the Euro is kind of painting that same picture of more kind of those regional severe weather events. So we'll keep a very close eye on it for you. Now, I'd just like to point one thing out. We are at 341 subscribers at the time of making this video, and I cannot thank you guys enough, as just on Tuesday, we had hit 300 subscribers. So this is extremely big, and we do have a big video upload that I'm hoping to drop by next Friday. And that will be huge, and I hope that that will be the push for 500 subscribers on that video. So make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you are new here, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.